Um, I was looking through some of the comments and I got one about a video about the life of a Christian or what it's like. Um, it's not always easy, and I'm not putting any dismissal to anyone else's beliefs. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, faith, and judgment, and free will. And it's not always easy to live life in certain aspects of life or anything. There has been many times in my life where even I have questioned it to a certain extent, where I even thought to myself, and I've made it clear to others as well, that there were times where I have lost my faith. I've lost what I thought was my whole world. And I have I have struggled for many years, and I do mean many years, with the harassment of others, bullying, name calling, mental health issues, to the point where I thought it would be better to be without anyone and not even be on the earth anymore. And not gonna lie, I still go through those moods. It's led to many fights, many breakups, many good things that was brought into my life. Had them taken away, stripped, removed for certain things. So honestly, if you're going through anything, if you feel not worthy, like I have, and I still do. I'm not saying my life's perfect, because it is far from perfect. But we strive for perfection every day, and the reality of it is none of us will achieve it, because there's honestly no such thing as perfection. But I can tell you from past experiences to the right people helps. And I'm still dealing with the fact that I am stubborn to a T. I mean, literally, people will tell me do one thing, and I veer way off course and do the complete opposite. But yeah, it is a crazy ride, a struggle, but after a while, I realized that no matter how many times I veered off course, there's only one true person that has your back. That's why we have crosses. That's why I'm not wearing it right now because I took it off for bed, but that's why I wear the cross, and I have a bracelet, and it says Jesus is my Savior. That's why I go to church. Now, you don't have to be a Christian and go to church. You don't have to have, excuse me. You don't have to have a church, or you don't even have to go to church. As long as you have a conversation like you're talking to your best friend. Something's going on in your life, no one in your life that you want to talk to. Spend 5-10 minutes and pray. Talk about it, you know. I'll share a little bit of my story for you. At the age of 2, I had passed away, and I came back. I had a fever of 107, I think it was, as a toddler. My eyes rolled in the back of my head to where I could see nothing but my brain, basically. Everything was white up here. There was no color, no pupils, nothing. I was rushed to the NICU. And I don't know how I remember this. But I've always questioned why I remember it like it was yesterday, like it was this morning. And after a while, I realized the reason why I remember everything and what happened from the time I was 2 till now is because it's very special. Something that happened, and I think now I'm starting to think that's the reason why I was put here. To share my story, to share my faith, and just talk about it. Now, as I was going in and out of consciousness, in the backseat of my grandfather's blue Chevy pickup truck. It was a 4x4 pickup truck. And I remember this to a T, which is crazy. But I was being rushed to the hospital. My grandfather was driving. My dad's in the backseat. My grandma stayed at the house because she was going to make sure 911 was called. And even though there was cell phones back then, it was more important that someone stayed at the house for I think someone was supposed to be coming over the house. But yeah, she called from the house. Now I'm in the car going down the highway, or not even a highway, but like 84, okay, which I guess is a highway, but still, I'm going from the home I grew up in Walden, New York, all the way to Middletown, to the hospital where I was born. And I don't remember the conversation my grandfather and my dad were having, except my dad yelling for him to drive faster. But the phone call my grandma made was to the cops, to 911, saying, do not pull over this blue truck. It's speeding from Walden, New York to Middletown. She gave the license plate number, the description of the car, who was driving, who's in the car, and what was happening. That her grandbaby had a very bad fever and started convulsing to the point where her eyes went completely to the back of her head. There was nothing. Like, I was dying. Like, I should not be alive at all. And I get to the hospital. I'm placed in this NICU. Excuse me. I'm placed in this NICU in a glass box where there's a whole bunch of tubes. And the only way for the person and the family, friends, whatever, to touch me in any way was through the armholes, through the tubes. And they had gloves, of course, in the tubes. So. But everyone's like, you never died. Okay, if I never died, the room was pure white. Okay, the room had like decorations around it, like little kid decorations, balloons, stuff like that. There was no immense white light or anything in the room. It was just normal, and I believe the lights were off that day because it was like late, so the lights would have been off for the family to get rest. But yeah, there was a bright white light, and I mean like as soon as you walk outside after just waking up, no coffee, no nothing. You wake up, you go outside, that white light that hits you, it was about 10 times brighter than that. And it was all like clouds, like fluffy white clouds. Like, okay. And I don't remember talking or anything, but I remember going up to this gate. One side was pearly, one side was golden. I'm pulling the gate, thinking that I'm stuck. I didn't realize I was on the outside of the gate, and it wasn't opening because it wasn't my time. And I remember this lady. For the life of me, I had no clue who she was at all. Just some lady calling my name. Like, okay, this is weird. Who is this? And she introduces herself to me. I see this lady, she tells me to go back and take care of her son. it's not my time. I'm like trying to figure out at the same time who was her son. And she says a nickname. Her son, Beat Pop, which is my grandfather's nickname given to her. No one had told me anything prior to this. She had died before I was even born. And when I was able to talk and regain my strength, and a few years after this, I asked my grandfather for a picture, if he had one of his mother. He had one when she was younger, like 20-ish, okay? The picture that he handed me was the same woman I saw. Same dress, the same hairstyle as the woman in the photo. The woman in the photo was the same as the woman who met me, who sent me back. And it still gives me chills. I don't know how or why. Okay. I have been accident prone for the longest time. After a while, I began doing stupid stuff. And I'll admit it wasn't good. It wasn't even drug related or anything, but any way I could get in trouble, I was. I don't know why. But after a while, when I moved 3 days by car across country, I went and I was visiting my grandparents for the summer. And I'm glad that I was with my grandparents that summer. That was the summer I lost my great grandma. She was like one of my best friends. And after that, that was when things started taking a hit. I told him help. Because I lost her. So I still had my dad. I still had my grandma. I still had my grandfather. I still had my aunt. But yet I felt like I could not talk to them about anything. And that was also the day I lost my faith, was when she passed away. And not a day goes by that I don't think better. I used to think she was only 89 years old. I was probably about 14 at the time. There was many times I just wished it was me instead of her. And it wasn't a good thought process. Excuse me. So, back to where I was at. It wasn't a good thought process for me. And a year, I don't know if it was a year, but it wasn't long after that. My uncle got sick. And he was another one that I considered my best friend too. He was one that would, if I was sleeping, like as a toddler, he'd have a blanket on the floor, me sleeping, and him laying right next to me. He was a man I looked up to. They're both huge parts of my life. And the sad part is, I still beat myself up over this. My great grandma was in the hospital. I went and visited her in the hospital. My uncle was in the hospital. I went to the hospital. I could not go in the room at all. Okay. My great grandma in the hospital, dying of lung cancer that spread to her body. My uncle in the hospital, dying of pancreatic cancer. I couldn't. I don't know what it was. I wanted to go. I wanted to be at the hospital. I did not want to leave. I could not make it past the waiting room. When you walk in to check in to go visit someone, that's as far as I got. Could not go up. And my grandma went. She went up. I would make cards and write on the cards how much I loved it, how much I missed it. And I'd apologize on why I was not in the room. And he told my grandma. I don't know if it was his last breath, but it was like one of the last visits. He did not He was not mad at me. He understood. And he said he didn't want me to see him that way. He wanted me to remember him as healthy. I still regret it. I really do. That's one thing that I know I have no reason to beat myself up about, but I do. And there's been